Every optimization question ever set in an exam is the same question, wearing a different hat. What is the best possible value and exactly where does it happen? A box that holds the most. A field that costs the least to fence. A journey that takes the shortest time. Different stories, identical mathematics. And by the end of today, you will see straight through the costume to the method underneath. Let me show you why f-=0 is the right tool for find the best value, because it is worth actually seeing rather than just accepting. Picture any quantity that rises to a peak and then falls again. Profit, volume, area, whatever the question is dressed up as. On the way up, the gradient is positive. On the way down, the gradient is negative. Somewhere in between, the gradient has to pass through zero. And that exact point where the curve stops climbing and starts falling is the peak itself. So, find the best value and find where the derivative is zero are not two different problems. They are the same problem, seen from two different angles. Here is the classic version, and I want you to watch the answer emerge, not just appear. You have a square sheet of card, 12 centimeters on each side. Cut a small square of side X from every corner, then fold up the 4 flaps to make an open-topped box. What is X if you want the box to hold as much as possible? First, define the variable. Done, it is X, the size of the cut. Second, write the volume as a function of it. The base of the box has side 12 minus 2x because you removed x from both ends. The height is x, the flap you folded up. Volume is base squared times height, x times 12 minus 2x, all squared. Differentiate. Using the product rule on x and the squared bracket, this comes out to 12 minus 2x, all squared minus 4x times 12 minus 2x, which tidies to 12 minus 2x times 12 minus 6x. Set that to 0. Either x equals 6 or x equals 2. Here is the step people skip. Check feasibility. If x equals 6, the base becomes 12 minus 12, which is 0. There is no box at all, just a flat, useless sheet. Reject it. X equals 2 is the real answer. Check it against neighbors to be sure. At x equals 1, the volume is 100. At x equals 2, it is 128. At x equals 3, it drops back to 108. 128 really is the peak. Cut 2 centimeters from each corner and you get the biggest possible box. One more optimization because the shape of the problem changes, but the method does not move an inch. A farmer has 100 meters of fencing, and one side of the field is already a wall, so only 3 sides need fencing. What dimensions give the largest possible area? Define the variable. Let x be the width of each of the 2 sides running away from the wall. The length running along the wall then uses up whatever fencing is left. 100 minus 2x. Area is width times length, x times 100 minus 2x. Differentiate, 100 minus 4x. Set to 0, x equals 25. Check feasibility. X has to sit between 0 and 50 for the field to make sense, and 25 comfortably does. The length works out to 50 and the area to 1250 square meters. Genuinely the largest possible, confirmed against neighboring widths on either side. Now a different flavor of problem entirely, though it leans on the exact same tool, the chain rule. Related rates connect 2 quantities that are both changing over time through some fixed relationship between them. Differentiate that relationship with respect to time, and the chain rule links the rate you know to the rate you want. A cylindrical tank of fixed radius, 2 meters, is filling at 5 cubic meters a minute. How fast is the water level rising? Volume is pi, r squared, h, and since the radius never changes, differentiating with respect to time gives dv by dt equals pi r squared times dh by dt, Rearranged, dh by dt equals 5 over pi times 4, which comes out to roughly 0.4 meters a minute. Here's the picture that makes related rates click for most people. A ladder. A 5-meter ladder leans against a wall. The foot is sliding away from the wall at 1 meter per second. How fast is the top sliding down? At the exact moment, the foot is 3 meters from the wall. The wall, the ground, and the ladder form a right-angled triangle, so x squared plus y squared equals 25. Always, that is the fixed relationship. At the moment in question, x is 3, which by the 3, 4, 5 triangle makes y exactly 4. Differentiate the whole relationship with respect to time. 2x dx by dt plus 2y dy by dt equals 0 because 25 never changes. Solve for dy by dt minus x over y times dx by dt. Substitute in minus 3 over 4 times 1. Minus 0.75 meters per second. Negative because the height is decreasing. The top of the ladder is sliding down at 3/4 of a meter every second, right at that instant. Same idea, one more time, briefly. A spherical balloon is being inflated at 100 cubic centimeters a second. How fast is the radius growing when the radius is already 5 centimeters? Volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Differentiate with respect to time. dv by dt equals 4 pi r squared times dr by dt. Rearrange and substitute dr by dt equals 100 over 4 pi times 25, which is 1 over pi, a little under 1/3 of a centimeter per second. Notice the balloon grows more slowly the bigger it already is. For exactly the same volume of air going in each second, the surface it has to stretch keeps getting larger. Last topic for today, and it is where derivatives were first invented for. Motion. Displacement tells you where something is. Differentiate it once and you get velocity, how fast position is changing. Differentiate again and you get acceleration, how fast velocity itself is changing. 3 quantities, 2 differentiations, 1 stack. Let us run a full question. An object's displacement is given by s equals t cubed minus 6t squared plus 90 in meters with t in seconds. Velocity. Differentiate once. 3t squared minus 12t plus 9. Acceleration. Differentiate again. 6t minus 12. When is the object momentarily at rest? Set velocity to 0. 3t squared minus 12t plus 9 equals 0. Divide by 3. T squared minus 4t plus 3 equals 0. Factor t minus 1 times t minus 3 equals 0. At rest twice, at 1 second, and at 3 seconds. At 1 second, displacement is 4 meters and acceleration is minus 6. At 3 seconds, displacement is back at 0 and acceleration is plus 6. One more layer, because velocity and acceleration together tell you something neither one tells you alone. At t equals 1.5 seconds, velocity is minus 2.25, acceleration is minus 3. Same sign, both negative, which means the object is speeding up in the negative direction. At t equals 2.5 seconds, velocity is also minus 2.25. But acceleration is now plus 3. Opposite signs. The object is still moving in the negative direction, but it is slowing down. The positive acceleration is fighting against the negative velocity. Same speed at both moments. Completely different story. Velocity tells you direction and speed. Acceleration tells you whether that speed is building or draining away. You need both to actually describe the motion. So, why does setting the derivative to 0 find the best answer? Because the best answer is where the curve turns over. Climbing, then flat, then falling, or falling, then flat, then climbing. Either way, That flat moment is the peak or the trough, and f dashed equals 0 is exactly how you find it. The routine never changes. Define your variable. Write the quantity you care about as a function of it. Differentiate. Set to 0. Solve. And then, the step everyone in a hurry skips. Check that your answer is actually feasible. A negative length or an oversized cut is not a real answer, however cleanly the algebra produced it. And related rates is just the chain rule, refusing to stay confined to a textbook. A tank, a ladder, a balloon, all governed by the same idea. Differentiate the relationship connecting them with respect to time. Now, quick one for the comments. Which exam board are you sitting and how many months have you got left? Drop it below. I read them and it genuinely shapes what I build next. Subscribe so you catch episode 7, where we finally leave polynomials behind and differentiate sine, cosine, and the strangest number in mathematics. Full workings in the notes on StudyRevise. I'm Sir Chris. See you there.